one in which you can be proud and one that will be an example for the rest of the region.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
The Ministry of Justice is hosting the Hanover leg of the Legal Aid Council's Justice Fair for Persons with Disabilities on Thursday, June 19, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Lucy Bus Park. Persons with disabilities can come out to access justice services such as legal aid, child diversion, victim support, expungement of criminal records, restorative justice, wills and estate management, and many more. The RGD will be there along with many other government services. That's the Legal Aid Council's Justice Fair for Persons with Disabilities, Thursday, June 19, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Lucy Bus Park. The Ministry of Justice, taking justice to the people of Jamaica.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings, each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss.
Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Boyatings After Dark.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
The race to 32. Nationwide 90 FM's coverage of the 2025 general elections. Coming soon.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
The E-Zone is here for you.
With this thing I Honey Bee.
And Kareem Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. Why you said?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions.
Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Experience the joy of buying a brand new Hyundai without breaking the bank. Yes, buying a brand new car should never leave you broke. From stylish designs and safety features to comfortable driving and reliability, Hyundai is the choice. Hyundai vehicles come standard with 2 years free service and 5 years warranty and roadside assistance for your peace of mind. Drive 2 years without service cost and 5 years without fear of being stranded. Hyundai. Conditions apply.
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. It's 5:38. It is the 18th of June. Welcome to the Cover Story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good afternoon to you, listeners and viewers on our YouTube channel. I'm Tyrone Reed. How are you, Sir Siobhan?
Doing quite well. It's been an interesting day, so to speak, considering what we're discussing at this moment. There was
absolutely
pandemonium, and I think that's definitely the best way to describe it, as massive crowds flocked to KFC restaurant locations across the country to take advantage of the fast food chain's 50th anniversary Brata deal. Reports are that customers began queuing up from as early as 3 a.m. at some locations. The promotion, dubbed Big Deal Brata, is only valid for today, Wednesday, June 18. That promotion offers a free meal deal with every Big Deal purchase.
2 free pieces of chicken for every 3-piece meal that is bought. Customers have the opportunity to order up to 5 big deals and get the same number of meal deals. In videos circulating online, large crowds are seen bombarding KFC doors as they made efforts to secure the spicy barbecue and original chicken on offer while stocks last. I gather, Siobhan, it was also alleged that the door to KFC may have been damaged because of the crowds. I'm not certain if that has been verified as yet.
Yes, images seen by Nationwide News also showed customers with cardboard boxes stacked with KFC meals. One customer had 10 boxes on the passenger seat of a vehicle with seatbelts strapped across the meal boxes. At some locations, members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force could be seen trying to control the crowds. And in the meantime, marketing strategist Joel Nomdarkham says the large crowds that flocked KFC we reaffirm the strong influence the brand holds over Jamaican consumers. Well, we are now joined by marketing manager for KFC Jamaica, Andre Roper, and we'll also hear from head of the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, PSTEB, ACP Dr. Gary McKenzie, and marketing strategist himself, Joel Nom Darkham. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good to hear from all of you. So, let's start with you, Andre Roper. I understand the promotion goes up till midnight, but so far, what is your assessment?
Huge response. Amazing turnout. We expected to see bumper crowds at our restaurant. This execution, the response that we have seen so far, it was reminiscent of an execution that we ran in 2018 called Crazy Tuesdays. Customers might remember that one. That was a similar chicken-based promotion. But this year, we were really looking to give back to our customers in a big way. 50 years is a huge milestone. The theme of the 50-year birthday celebration for KFC this year is 50 years of finger-licking good memories, and we wanted to say thank you to our customers in a big way. Our big deal is our flagship menu item. It's the most iconic meal on our menu, and giving back by way of a big deal purchase, reaping a free meal deal, we knew it was going to be a huge incentive. We knew it was going to really capture our audience, and we knew that there was going to be huge response, and so we tried to prepare ourselves. We tried to put everything in place to manage what we knew was going to be a massive response today. And by all indications so far, and even just being on the ground myself and seeing the response from some of our customers, it was a huge it was definitely a success from a brand and a transaction point of view. We saw where even other brands were trying to, other companies in not just in the QSR industry but in other industries were also trying to jump and ride the wave of the communication impact, especially in social media, caused by KFC and this promotion. We saw all the user-generated content online. We saw persons gearing up and preparing. It really went viral in a way that we never could have imagined. And it's really just it's an indicator and a reminder of how loved the brand is in Jamaica, and also about how passionately people respond to deals like this, especially around events like birthdays and things that are so momentous.
So Tyrone did ask earlier that there was an issue of vandalism that happened at some locations or a location. Is that true? Was there an actual case of that?
Yeah, so there was some damage to some glass at a couple locations. At some locations, we did have, we had huge crowds at several locations, and in some locations, we did have some jostling, some pushing. We had, a bit of congestion, and that led to some damage to glass at some locations. But, we saw as the day progressed that things started to tone down. I'm actually at a restaurant right now. I'm actually at Old Hope Road, where it was much more intense early in the day, huge crowd, massive crowd early in the day. But as we have gotten now, we're approaching 6 o'clock, things have started to cool down as, much of the early and the lunchtime crowd has tailed off. As I said, we knew it was going to be a huge response. We put things in place in terms of staffing, in terms of security. We do understand that there was some disruption to traffic in certain areas because of, especially drive-through restaurants. We definitely apologize for the congestion which which would have been caused, especially in some of those drive-through restaurants because of the traffic backing up on the road. But we did our best in terms of, both staffing up, in terms of product availability, in terms of making sure that our operational processes were firing on all cylinders to try to push through the meals as quick as possible, because we thought that this type of promotion was a really meaningful way to say thanks to Jamaica for 50 years of, KFC success.
Yeah. Mr. Roper, we're almost upon our first break inside the cover story, but just pardon me, your first name, it's Andre or Andre?
Andre is fine. It's the Russian spelling, but still pronounced close to the French spelling.
Just want to be clear on it. But you did say you put additional measures in place. I mean, we're talking about KFC. Even those who don't work with the brand know that once KFC says it's going to be giving away free stuff, it's going to attract, large crowds, because you do attract large crowds even on a normal day, right? So in terms of some of the details, in terms of what you put in place to manage the crowds, the crowd control, what exactly did you put in place in terms of additional security and additional staffing?
So we definitely ensure that during the peak period, especially at opening and during the lunch periods, and knew that we were going to really feel that onslaught. We ensure that especially the high traffic restaurants were properly staffed, especially as it relates to the back of house and the cashiers, the packers. We really tried to ensure that we were pushing through the meals as quickly as possible. We had order takers out in the drive-through, multiple order takers out in the drive-through with tablets, pre-taking orders to try to process those drive-through orders at a faster pace. We had additional security positioned at especially the high-traffic restaurants to try to manage the inflow and outflow of customers. We did have instances where, patients were, customers were, exercising very minimal patience. We do understand that in many instances, in a promotion like this, you're going to have a longer than usual wait. And so, we would have hoped, we definitely wish for, patience and, some just more concern for, fellow customers in a situation like this. But we did have incidents where, there wasn't as much patience, we think, exercise at some of the restaurants. But we understand because there is a passion and there's a demand for our product. But we try to put in additional security all across the board. We made additional.
I'm interested in the additional security that you're putting on the table. No pun intended, Mr. Roper. How many additional security personnel are we talking about per outlet?
Well, I wouldn't have the details as to the numbers, but I do know that we did make accommodations for additional personnel, not just more, at least double, or more than double in many instances, both inside and outside the restaurants. And we also had police personnel at certain restaurants as well, the very high traffic restaurants, to help to deal with what we knew was going to be heavy traffic at some of those high transaction stores.
So you were in dialogue with the police before today, is what you're saying, for their support as well?
Yes. Our security, our safety and security department, who we generally have consistent dialogue with the police. I was even at a restaurant today for the entire day, KFC Old Hope Road, the first KFC restaurant in Jamaica, where we had an all-day promotion, and we had police personnel here throughout the day, working alongside our security personnel, intensified security personnel, trying to, manage the crowd here. And I gather that we did have police personnel at some of those other restaurants where we knew that there was going to be elevated transaction level.
I understand that we have to let you go here, Mr. Roper, so we thank you for joining us. And when we come back from the break, we speak with the head of PSTEM, Dr. Gary McKenzie, and marketing strategist Joel Nom-Darkham.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 5:49.
Burn Shack fried chicken always ready. Burn Shack, original crispy. Burn Shack, Cajun spicy. Burn Shack, a barbecue. Burn Shack, we are going Burn Shack.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken in Kingston, Montego Bay, and Ochivios is...
It's 32 degrees here in the capital city, Kingston, and 28 out west in Montego Bay.
You want to win? Then just bet. Bet on the game, no stress, no sweat. And win big in the Wanna Bet Just Bet promotion. Spend $1,500 or more on one Just Bet ticket and complete the entry form at promotions.supremegames.com for your chance to win. Third place gets Beats by Dre. Second place gets an iPhone 15 and AirPods Pro. And first place gets a 65-inch TV and a soundbar. Promotion runs May 16 to July 20, 2025. Grand draw July 25, 2025. Authorized under Section 58. Of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid-tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
And now, for a special message on the JCF Transformations Expo 2.0 by Deputy Commissioner Karina Powell-Hood.
We've been planning for months, and now we're ready to share more of the essence of who we are. At the JCF Transformations People, Quality and Technology Expo 2.0, coming June 19 to 22nd at the National Arena in Kingston and at the Montego Bay Community College. Come, see, experience what you've been hearing about your transforming police force.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We're talking about the KFC's 50th anniversary brought a deal promotion this afternoon. We have with us the head of PSTEM, Dr. Gary McKenzie, and marketing strategist Joel Nom-Darkham. So I guess we have to check in with you, Dr. McKenzie. How was the day from your perspective in terms of keeping both public safety and traffic issues under control?
Well, it was extremely busy. As was said before, persons started to line up very early before the restaurants were opened. We recognized that there were some queuing of vehicles, that some of which went onto the roadway, for which we had to address. We noted during the day, especially in the early hours, there were public order issues. People were jostling and trying to get into the various locations, and the police had to redouble their efforts in terms of trying to keep people in order. In some instances, it was a bit chaotic, and so it challenged us in terms of persons behaving in the kind of manner that would have been orderly.
So tell me, Dr. McKenzie, was it a situation where when KFC reached out to you saying that we're running this promotion, that you had to give the sign off on it, or is it just a matter that you are in a position where they're doing it and you have to essentially just be in place for what is going to happen?
Well, the thing about it is that when we have situations like these and we are notified, we tend to monitor. One of the things that we noted from this particular issue is that going forward, there has to be some kind of infrastructure planning in terms of getting people to be able to queue and so on in a systematic way. We may have to look at, additional parking and how we actually house persons. But generally speaking, we monitor and we see how things go. Today, in some instances, it overflowed, but generally speaking, persons, their expression of appetite for the product, it was shown in a way that was very exciting.
The expression of appetite, Dr. Mackenzie.
Well, that is what it is.
That's a nice way to put it. I want to bring Joel Lumdarker in, Dr. Mackenzie, but before we do, I want to ask you this one. Do you think the operators of the KFC franchise, this is your area of expertise, did they do enough in terms of the additional personnel that you saw on the ground when you got to the various locations? I gather you had to be called in over Linstead. I think I saw a report that says that the Linstead branch. Did they do enough? Do they need to? And did they give you enough lead notice, advance notice about this promotion?
Well, let me put it this way. When we're dealing with people, it is kind of a bit tricky. I believe that in terms of when you look at the areas, the maximum accommodation that could be made, I believe that the organizers tried their best. When we look at an area, for example, like Linstead, it would always be very tricky because, when we have people descending in this kind of way, then, it could not have been planned for unless you actually close other places or you get all the areas sterile to just accommodate them. And
the brand loyalty is just that big. There's nothing you can do about it, really.
Right. So, this kind of challenge, as I said before, in some ways, in some instances, going forward, we will have to look at to see how, especially just prior to reaching to the buildings themselves, if we can get a little better organization in terms of queuing. But
like barriers and so on that can get people to be in line.
Right, that is so. But generally, if we have these kinds of crowds, I mean, this of course, I am quite sure that the organizers are happy with what they see and people are happy. But it's really an indication of what to expect in the future, and I believe that we will be able to manage it much better.
All right, let's bring in Joel Lumdarker before we run out of time. Siobhan, it sounds like I hear you there. I want to just pull this one quickly to him, Siobhan. Joel Lumdarker, strategists and scientists need to study this KFC thing, man. What's the secret sauce here? Why is KFC such a hit in Jamaica?
It's one of those nostalgic brands, to be honest. We all grew up with KFC. We all grew up with KFC as an incentive. You go to dentist and they give yourself KFC. You pass graduation, KFC. And I was sharing earlier that even as adults...
Which dentist did you go to, man?
No. You already clean your teeth, You already clean your teeth, but you get the reward after, which is just so strange. And I was saying that even as adults, you go to the gym, you want a cheat meal. Oh God, I'm going to treat myself to KFC. So they have an incredible pull across generations, and it's one of those brand powers that they've enjoyed. And it's also like testament to show. Let me tell you something. Chaos. The brand is also quite chaotic because even outside of today, you go to a general KFC, the lines are long, people are shouting. I think today was just a macro aspects of what the actual realities of experiencing an actual KFC is like majority of the time. So I think the secret sauce is really along that line, and they definitely knew where to pull the consumers. It couldn't be a simple execution in terms of what you would have received after your purchase. They would have done the study. They would have known what they're doing. The manager earlier mentioned that the big deal is a big hit. Of course, somebody earlier said that there were 50 other ways KFC could have executed this that I'm inclined to agree with, because for me, giving back in this big way is significant. But at 50, you've grown significantly, and I think the storytelling is more critical in some aspects. I think they've donated $7 million to some children's home, which would get $500,000 each. I think at this point, I've considered they can triple that to at least some more. But it's a staple brand, and it goes to show that sometimes as well, you don't really need to fix if it's at work, you don't really need to fix it. Then new care folk coming. They knew all of that. They were mentioning earlier that they've tried to put things in place. We know Jamaicans. Come on, Jamaicans, KFC in one spot. Yeah, it was all chaos. But you can't go around the fact that KFC isn't a legacy brand, and they continue to have a hold on our AKA national dish. But I recommend to them that we let's see the story now. Yeah, the chicken important and all that, but you've given back to the community a lot, 7 million, double that or triple that now, and let's see how we can, continue to find other impactful ways. But chaos, we knew it was coming, and Secret Sauce, they know the consumer base, and it's important for business and brands to know their people. I'm sure they brought in some good profits today, and it's one of those brands that's aspirational when it comes down to just getting a consumer base to be loyal followers. Like, why am I picking up myself during work hours to go into a line? If you can get people to do that, you win at marketing.
All right, Mr. Namdaka, we're out of time, but I just want to put you in 30 seconds. What would you have changed, and would you have limited it to just one day?
First of all, I know that probably I don't know if today is the actual anniversary when they opened their gates. I would have probably done it on a weekend. Let's start there, right? That's the first thing I would have done differently. Secondly, in terms of the activations, I probably would have done different focus points in probably split it in counties, like Cornwall. Yes, so we have a focus on some of the stores between Manchester and wherever, and then kind of make it a phased approach. That way, even in terms of the marketing legs, I would have gotten more out of the store because it's a story you're telling across the parishes. And I would have done some more work in terms of how I would highlight more about my community reach and impact. But one day, pure chaos, that's what the story will be for the rest of the day across TikTok and social. But they've won in terms of the PR value, though some of it is quite negative. But I would have done that differently if I was in their shoe. But kudos to KFC. Everybody loves it. It's finger licking good.
Okay, that's Joel Namdaka, marketing strategist.
Of Jamaicans.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Namdaka. We were also joined by marketing manager for KFC, Andre Roper, and head of PSTEM for the JCF, Dr. Gary McKenzie. Thank you all for joining us.
I know we have to go, Chevron, but did you get your KFC?
No, sir. I'm sorry. I have a little too much dignity to put myself in that position. I'm sorry. not for chicken.
No, the commitment of Jamaicans to KFC should be studied. I'm telling you. Okay. That's the cover story. The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
2 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Marketing manager of KFC, Andre Roper, says extensive preparations were made in anticipation of Wednesday's 50th anniversary Brata Deal promotion. This as hundreds of customers are at this hour still flocking KFC locations island-wide.
We definitely made preparations beforehand. We made preparations as it relates to our operational processes for the day, as it relates to bolstering our stock of chicken chicken and all the other ingredients, fries, drinks, all the ingredients that would have gone into the compound meal. So we made preparations knowing full well that we would have expected a bumper crowd. Of course, as far as having our security personnel as well, just to help to manage the crowds and manage the customer flow at the restaurant. And we're continuing to monitor and manage things throughout the course of the day.
KFC outlets triggered traffic across several locations as the customers stood in line for hours to secure their big deal burrata. That's 2 free pieces of chicken for every 3-piece meal bought. Mr. Roper says the company's objective is to continue the promotion until the close of business at midnight.
Definitely overwhelming support. Customers are flocked to locations all across the country, all 41 locations, to take advantage of our Big Get Birthday deals. I've seen swarms of customers come out, and our team members at our restaurants are currently handling and processing all the orders, dealing with all the customers as they flow through our restaurants. And all day promotion, while stocks last, of course, but our intention is to supply customers right through until closing. Midnight for most restaurants during the week.
Andre Roper, marketing manager of KFC. Meanwhile, police personnel were on site at several KFC locations to maintain order and help direct the flow of traffic. Head of the JCF's Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, ACP Dr. Gary McKenzie, says so far only one major incident has been reported.
We observe in some instances where the crowds were as such that they filtered out on the roadway. So we heard a report in Maypen that based on the forcing of persons that one window may have been damaged, but that was the only incident of that sort that we heard. At this particular time, there are still some long lines at several places, and so we continue our monitoring.
ACP Dr. Gary McKenzie, head of PSTEB. There's been a 79% reduction in murders in all areas under the Zones of Special Operations, ZOSO. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang made the disclosure in Parliament on Tuesday.
The reduction in murders, the increased peace and good order is a result of the work and policy of the Andrew Holness-led government and the investment they made. We want to indicate that in the Zones of Special Operations, Mr. Speaker, the reduction in homicides for this year compared to last year, there was a reduction, is 79%. 79%. It's 3 murders in the entire 7 zones compared to 14 last year. We are returning.
Dr. Horace Chang, National Security Minister. The House of Representatives also approved an extension of ZOSO in the 7 declared areas for another 180 days. They are Denham Town in West Kingston, Norwood and Mount Salem in St. James, Greenwich Town, Parade Gardens and August Town in St. Andrew, and Savannah Lamar in Westmoreland. The latest extensions will expire on December 22. Agriculture Minister Floyd Green brought the Pre-Deal Larceny Amendment Bill through all its stages in the House of Representatives on Tuesday.
The bill, when enacted, will strengthen the penalties to be imposed upon an offender for committing any offence under the Act or the enactment specified in the first schedule of the Act. The objective of the amendments is to improve deterrence and to reinforce the legal framework by increasing the fines and terms of imprisonment to effectively address the persistent challenges posed by agricultural crimes, thereby safeguarding the sector.
Floyd Green, Minister of Agriculture. The bill passed in the lower house with no amendments. Opposition spokesman on finance Julian Robinson says the government still has questions to answer regarding the appointment of Dennis Chung as the Chief Technical Director of the Financial Investigations Division, the FID. Mr. Robinson tabled questions on the appointment in Parliament on Tuesday, seeking clarity from Finance Minister Favour Williams.
I tabled questions in Parliament yesterday in relation to the appointment of Dennis Chung as Chief Technical Director at the FID because there are a number of questions which are outstanding that have not been answered in relation to the process. The first and most important one is why was the job description changed after the initial advertisement in 2024 and critical requirements were left out when the new advertisement was placed in 2025. I want to know who authorized that change.
The PNP has heavily criticized the appointment of Mr. Chung. They deem him unfit due to his comments as a public commentator surrounding the Integrity Commission's probe into Prime Minister Andrew Holness's statutory declarations. According to the PNP, the comments they see as favorable to the Prime Minister leave Mr. Chung conflicted. However, Mr. Robinson says the questions go beyond the mere personalities involved, but also speak to the governance of the FID.
I'm also interested in finding out how many people were shortlisted when the job was advertised in 2025, and who constituted the panel that did the interviews for those persons who were shortlisted. I'm also interested in finding out the reporting relationship of the FID to the Ministry of Finance and whether there have been changes in that. So because these questions have remained outstanding, I felt it was important to use the parliamentary process to table these questions so that the government can answer them, because these are important and go beyond the personality in this particular appointment.
Julian Robinson, opposition spokesman on finance. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Sports is next.
You're a VIP with CIBC Caribbean. Spend US $100 or local equivalent with your CIBC Visa credit card for your chance to win a crop over VIP experience in Barbados. An all-expense-paid trip for two, staying at the Courtyard by Marriott Hotel, cultural tours, and Aura experience with full glam makeup, plus tickets to the hottest last lap events. Visit CIBC Caribbean /crop over 2025 for more info. Conditions apply.
You've led teams, built businesses, and influenced change. Now, lead research that transforms your field. Apply now for the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean's Doctor of Business Administration or Doctor of Professional Practice. Flexible, research-based, and designed for working professionals. All UCC programs are accredited by the University Council of Jamaica. Learn more and apply online at ucc.edu.jm. UCC, fostering leadership and innovation.
And now, a special message from our Commissioner of Police, Dr. Kevin Blake.
In 2023, many of you told us how pleasantly surprised you were with our first Transformations Expo. Be prepared to be amazed at Transformations Expo 2.0, People, Quality and Technology, coming from 2 locations at the National Arena in Kingston and simultaneously at the Montego Bay Community College from Thursday, June 19 to Sunday, June 22. Bring your friends. Bring your family. I'm looking forward to meeting you.
The Ministry of Justice is hosting the Hanover leg of the Legal Aid Council's Justice Fair for Persons with Disabilities on Thursday, June 19, 2025 from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Lucy Bus Park. Persons with disabilities can come out to access justice services such as legal aid, child diversion, victim support, expungement of criminal records, restorative justice, wills and estate management, and many more. The RGD will be there along with many other government services. That's the Legal Aid Council's Justice Fair for Persons with Disabilities, Thursday, June 19, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Lucy Bus Park. The Ministry of Justice, taking justice to the people of Jamaica.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads Podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Members of Jamaica's national senior men's football team staged their penultimate training session this morning in Santa Clara ahead of a crucial CONCACAF Gold Cup group game against Guadeloupe at PayPal Park in San Jose, California on Friday. The team was joined in training by late call-ups Mount Pleasant Academy captain Sule McCullough and Charlton Athletic midfielder Karoy Anderson. Anderson, who is now into his second year as a Reggae boy, says he was happy to be back with the team.
It's been good to be back with the squad. I enjoy, being around everyone, and it's been nice. Training was good. It was intense. I was just excited to get back training with the group ahead of the game. So yeah, it was good.
Anderson, who helped Charlton gain promotion to the Championship in England, says he's ready to play his part in helping the Jamaica team move forward.
I've really enjoyed it. Like it's been a dream to play at these tournaments, especially for Jamaica. Like, these are the things that I used to speak about my brother with. So to be able to do it and to play in 2 years as well is, it's been good. It's really been good, and I've enjoyed it a lot. So I just hope it continues, and yeah.
Karoy Anderson. Jamaica lost 1-0 to Guatemala in their opening game on Monday, and they must win on Friday to remain in with a realistic chance of getting into the knockout round. Chelsea's Ukrainian winger Mikhailo Mudryk has been charged by the Football Association with violating its anti-doping rules after he failed a drugs test and could now face up to a 4-year ban. The 24-year-old international was provisionally suspended by the FA in December after a, quote, adverse finding in a routine urine test, end of quote, provided by the player. The player is found to have intentionally taken a banned substance, can be banned for up to 4 years under FIFA guidelines. At the time, Mudryk said, quote, I'm in complete shock and never knowingly used any banned substances. He's not played for Chelsea since November 28th of last year and has not been included in the matchday squad since December 1. In a new statement on Wednesday, the FA said, we can confirm that Mikhailo Mudryk has been charged with anti-doping rule violations, alleging the presence and or use of a prohibited substance in terms of regulations 3 and 4 of the FA's anti-doping regulations. Chelsea has not commented, but in December said externally they would work to establish what caused the failed test, adding that Mikhailo has confirmed categorically that he had never knowingly used any banned substances. The Blues manager Enzo Maresca said, we support Mikhailo, and trust means that we believe Mikhailo. Under FA rules, players have the right to request analysis of the B sample in the event of an adverse analytical finding in the A sample. Fans have been warned by the English Premier League that fixtures could be moved at relatively short notice next season because of the number of teams playing in Europe. A record 9 top-flight clubs have qualified for UEFA competitions in the 2025-26 campaign. The Premier League said there is an increased likelihood that games will be rescheduled if English teams reach the latter stages, and it suggested fans take this into consideration when planning their attendance at games. Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City, Chelsea, Newcastle and Tottenham will be playing in the Champions League next season. Aston Villa and Crystal Palace have qualified for the Europa League, while Nottingham Forest will play in the Conference League. Now, the West Indies will be facing defending champions New Zealand in their opening game of the 2026 ICC Women's T20 World Cup, scheduled for June 12th to July 5 in England. The game is scheduled for June 13 in Southampton, and it's a rematch of their semi-final showdown at the last edition of the tournament. The West Indies, who are in Group 2, will have other group games against host England on June 24 at Lords and Sri Lanka, June 21 in Bristol. They'll also have games against 2 more qualifiers who will be decided either later this year or early 2026. Australia, South Africa, India, Pakistan and 2 qualifiers will play in Group 1. The semi-finals will be played at the Oval, while the final is scheduled for Lords. The 33-match tournament will take place across 7 venues in England. Over 24 days, the tournament will have 12 teams, up from 10 for the last World Cup. Apart from the Oval and Lords, matches will also be played at Old Trafford, Headingley, Southampton, Bristol and Edgbaston, and will have 3 different time zones. The opening match will be played between England and Sri Lanka at Edgbaston on June 12. The top 2 teams from each group will make the semi-finals to be held June 30 and July 2. The winners will meet for the title on July 5 at Lords. Host England and the top 5 teams from the 2024 edition, namely Australia, India, New Zealand and South Africa, along with the West Indies, they qualified automatically. Pakistan and Sri Lanka, who were the 2 next highest ranked teams on the ICC Women's T20 rankings, on October 21 of that year made the cut as well. The remaining 4 teams will come from the global qualifier scheduled for early 2026. Bangladesh, Scotland, the USA, Nepal and Thailand have already qualified for that 10-team tournament. The Europe, Africa and East Asia Pacific qualifiers are yet to be known. Minister of Sport Olivia Green says the new lights are going to make a world of difference as they will ignite a series of cricket events that will be held at Sabina Park.
The President, Dr. Bennett, actually indicated that Australia will be coming in July and there will be day and night cricket. And it is important for an iconic facility like this to be able to host cricket, not just in the day, but at night. And so that will start a series of cricket events that will be held here, both during the day and at night. So this great facility will return to its, I would say, former glory, because this was a facility in the Caribbean that was seen as the place to come to cricket.
Grange also revealed the extent of the government's effort to procure and install a new scoreboard.
After having discussions with the Jamaica Cricket Association, we approached the government of India. And following on that approach, Prime Minister Andrew Holness visited India, and again further discussions were held. And so finally it's materialized. We're getting new scoreboards. In fact, there are 2 panels. In a couple of days, the smaller panel would have been installed, and then the larger screen will be installed by the end of the month.
Sports Minister Olivia Grange. Meanwhile, President of the Jamaica Cricket Association, Dr. Donovan Bennett, lauds the government's effort in the upgrading of the facility.
The government of Jamaica donated $75 million for us to purchase and to install what you see here tonight, because we had a very antiquated system using incandescent bulbs, etc., etc. The looms from those lights were not sufficient to hold international games. It just wasn't up to scratch. So we approached the government and they were very receptive. And so we got funding from the government to put new LED lights in.
Dr. Bennett also dismissed suggestions that the government does not care about cricket.
I know the perception has been out there post-World Cup that the government is not very responsible to sports and cricket in particular, but I have not found this to be so. In dealing with the government and especially Minister Granger, she's been very receptive and very helpful to us.
That's Dr. Donovan Bennett. He's president of the Jamaica Cricket Association. That's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:21.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Tired of waiting for your ride? Want safety and peace of mind on every journey? Amber On Time is here! With verified drivers, real-time vehicle tracking, and panic button with armed security response, your safety is our priority. Reliable service, easy booking, premium experience, it's all just a tap away. Download Amber On Time today.
the gateway for Jamaica's athletes to several international competitions, including the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan. Opens from Thursday, June 26 to Sunday, June 29 for the J3A Junior and Senior National Championships at the National Stadium. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. each day. Admission, finish area season ticket, $8,000. Daily, $1,000 to $3,000. Regular grandstand season ticket, $6,500. Daily, $1,000 to $2,500. Tickets go on sale at MysticOnlineTix.com. Starting June 11, Pegasus Hotel and the Stadium Ticket Office. Starting Monday, June 23. The action will be sizzling.
Get on the run with Appleton Estate this month. Dive into the history, craftsmanship, and experience a taste of Jamaican excellence. Indulge in your favorite Appleton Estate cocktails and food pairings available at participating restaurants. Or receive a complimentary Appleton 8-year-old Reserve 200 ml when you purchase a bottle of Appleton Estate's Signature Blend 750 ml. While stocks last at participating outlets. Appleton Estate. Land on the extraordinary. Follow us at Appleton Estate JA to get on the run. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Roby Ann Williams on this midweek. Yeah, it's Wednesday. A special good evening to our friends on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We ask you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. And for those of you who are still in the KFC line, from morning till now, big up on yourself. Yeah. Hundreds of customers are at this hour still flocking KFC locations island-wide. This as the restaurant celebrates its 50th anniversary with a burrata deal promotion. And guess what's the burrata? 2 free pieces of chicken for every 3-piece meal. But the one-day promotion triggered the deployment of police personnel who were called in for crowd control. Can you imagine? Reports are that some customers were in the line from as early as 5 a.m. Marketing manager of KFC, Andre Roper, says the company made extensive preparations ahead of today's promotion.
We definitely made preparations beforehand. We made preparations as it relates to our operational processes for the day, as it relates to bolstering our stock of chicken and all the other ingredients, fries, drinks, all the ingredients that would have gone into the combo meal. So we made preparations knowing full well that we would have expected a bumper crowd. Of course, as far as having our security person as well, just to help to manage the crowds and manage the customer flow at the restaurant. And we're continuing to monitor and manage things throughout the course of the day.
A bumper crowd is an understatement. That was Andre Roper, the marketing manager of KFC, because the videos I've seen, and while driving past the KFCs, I'm not telling a lie. But yeah, in Public Opinion this evening, we're asking, what's your reaction to chaotic scenes at several KFC outlets island-wide? May I go to the comments over on Facebook, where Hopelin Fletcher is saying, it's Jamaica's favorite fast food meal, so no surprise. On a normal day, you have drive-through lines as early as 10 a.m. So true. Uncle Drew saying that this proves that there are several unemployed people in our country. No way can you be employed and stand up in a line for 7 hours just for 2 extra pieces of chicken. Philip Jackson said, ants follow fat. Don't I know? People follow food, which I could get some of that great barbecue. Okay, you're saying you wish you could get some of that great barbecue chicken in the States? They don't have that. It's finger-licking good. Based on the taste, it looked like KFC originate in Jamaica. All right. Grace Williams Bailey, saying nothing wrong with persons going out to buy the KFC, but some of them act as if them never eat KFC from the day them born. I think KFC need to do this more often. Don't we all? Michael Henry said, me shame a kill me. Can't believe Jamaicans are fight over 2 pieces of chicken and little juice. What can go so? Little juice. Audley Phillips says, anyway, there is freebies. People will back up their trucks. The conduct might be a reflection of people's true economic condition throughout the island, though. Maxine Sole Riley is saying, honestly, I never expected this outcome. No more words. Lost for words. Katie Powell saying, that's crazy. These people really love KFC or free stuff? I could never.
Natalie Winter is saying to us, free goods and individuals love KFC. Happy 50th and much more to come. Big up every time. All right. Carlington Bartley, a demonstration of the great heights business and consumer confidence are on. Yeah? Beva Baker, okay, all right, that's unrelated. It's unrelated. Beva Baker, we now put the politics in it, man. We now put the politics in it. Sean Major Campbell says, not surprising when the national dish is available with burrata. Yeah? Audrey Allen says, distasteful scene. Not a good representation of the proud resilience people we are. Yeah? Let me see on our X platform. What's your reaction to chaotic scenes at several KFC outlets island-wide? Voice of the Truth starting us off saying, I was embarrassed for the first time to be a Jamaican. I was embarrassed. Moni Khan saying, I am ashamed as I would only have expected such behavior from Gazans who have no food. Some of these people eat KFC on month end normally, but the whole thing could have been marketed differently. All right, so Davian Meeks, we need to bring back shame. Big Bakri is not... Damian Meeks said Big Bakri is at an all-time high. Yeah. You know we Big Bucks? Yeah. Okay. El Matico, or that should be El Maquito. The people have spoken. They love the chicken. Shanae saying, for people who say nothing Nagwan and then can't buy food, they sure found the money to do so. Two most important things to Jamaicans. US visa. Yesterday we stand up. We stand up any amount of time, any amount of hours, any amount of days for the US visa and KFC. Okay. Kadian is saying it shows how broke and destitute our people have become under Andrew Holness. All right, another political one. Let's not go there. All right, Jabbo's saying, feel like KFC could have planned better for crowd control. They could have easily had customers select a location, time slot, and number via an app, and then show up in an orderly way. I don't know if that would have worked concerning app and everything, because I was just telling somebody earlier today that even when you order online or WhatsApp and you go to pick it up, you still have to wait. So it makes no difference whether you go on an app and order and do this and do that. You still have to go there, go wait. Van B says, really sad. So many of these people have all kind of sickness in their bodies and using their teeth to dig their grave. Health education is needed in this country. And the last one from Nadia is saying, and people who say that Jamaicans are poor and suffering. Let me go on over to our Instagram quickly. All of that excitement, Pana Stew Peas Day, Big Wednesday. Chrissy is coming. That's coming from Chrissy. The only Delcy is saying, looks like they need to do better, but at the time I understand their excitement. Anne-Marie is saying, expected and still disappointing. KFC could have afforded themselves barriers to help with lines. However, our indiscipline prevails. Yeah? No ambition. If me see one of my friend or family in a video, a fight over KFC, me diss them. Wow. Very, very revamp. Come out with that one, yeah. Just Peachy saying, totally embarrassed. I thought the management of KFC should have had better systems in place to control the expected crowd. We saw the worst of us on display today. My God. Stevie Williams, will there be enough chicken in the shops and supermarket for household use over the weekend? What a question. Embarrassing. King Kel says it was embarrassing and poor planning logistics wise with the KFC marketing team. Now they're going to have to spend millions. I wouldn't say millions. $, she put $, to fix back some of these outlets. No words, Katie saying no words. Sheer embarrassment. I saw people being hit with buttons in some videos. Just degrading, and to think they suffered that to spend their own money. She's asking, what is wrong with us? All right, over to our YouTubers. Let's go. Sandra Murray says, talking about high cholesterol makes no sense because Popeyes, KFC, Burger King, and other fast food places full every day. Coffee Jam once said, don't play with the Jamaican KFC brand and taste. Yeah? Janice said, everything them blame poor PM. Arlene Rowe, let's hear what you have to say. I remember lining up to buy the latest phones years ago in December. Years ago. Yeah? And he believes that it was never planned properly. It wasn't planned properly. That's what Annie is saying, that it wasn't planned properly. Yeah? Okay. David DeBar says, call in all hospital. Open your doors. Yeah? The secret of the fries. KFC coming from Reggae Matic. Judith Dodd saying, happy for them, but for me, it's a no. I would never put myself through that. Let me see. Erica Barnett is questioning, how did KFC know that so many people were going to turn out? You have freeness and KFC in a one sentence. Do the maths. I'm just saying. Don't come at me. Freeness and KFC in a one sentence? David Nabar says, calling all cardiologists. Brian Thomas, people just greedy. Full stop. Check a dead yard. You better have food galore. Freeness is a must. Embarrassing, but true. Yeah? Let's see if I can get in a few more, getting the wrap-up signal. These people make it look like chicken are done, says Shakila. Yeah? Birdshot Matingde, says Damian. All right. Original. Let me see if I can get a few more. Christopher Bowen says, I'm worried about this KFC thing. Will it determine our future? Or future? That's what you're saying? Yeah, it's good for business, says Dre Views. It's good for business. Erica Barnett was saying, give vouchers with 10 days expiration date. You're saying that would have been better for their 50th celebration? Easy Guys at KFC, not my style, but Jamaica KFC is still the best in the world. Hands down. I mean, everywhere I go, on every social media platform, I hear this comment that the KFC, unmatched. The KFC in Jamaica, top notch. That's what I hear all over from people who have been traveling west, east, west, north, and south. Marcia Favor Moore says, big up. Ooh. Big up. Thank you so much, Marcia. Yeah. Let's see if I can get in a few more real quick. MJM is asking, are we desperate? Unbelievable. Absolutely embarrassing. Yeah, it's absolutely embarrassing. Americans love chicken too. Leave my people alone, says MJam. Alex Smith, it hurt those who can't buy. I hear people talking about free. You have to buy to get. So how can it be free? Ungrateful people will always have problem. You don't go. You don't go. So leave those who go. Yeah. Well, I suspect we'll be talking about this today, tomorrow, and maybe for the end of the week. Let's see about it. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for participating in Public Opinion. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:36. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. People and businesses in the U.S. have faced a whirlwind of policy change in recent months. But one thing has remained fixed: borrowing costs set by the U.S. Central Bank. The Federal Reserve stuck with that strategy on Wednesday, leaving its key interest rate unchanged, even as officials' expectations for the economy worsened. The decision marked the fourth in a row without action, keeping the bank's influential lending rate hovering around 4.3%, where it has stood since December. That came despite forecasts from policymakers suggesting they expect slower growth, higher unemployment, and faster inflation than they did just a few months ago. TikTok will live on for at least another 3 months in the United States as President Donald Trump is poised to extend a sale or ban deadline for the third time since taking office this year. President Trump will sign an additional executive order this week to keep TikTok up and running, says the White House. The popular video sharing app was supposed to be banned in the U.S. after its Chinese owner ByteDance refused to sell it to a U.S. buyer by a January deadline.
And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 160 Jamaican dollars and 1 cent to buy $1, 215 Jamaican dollars and 17 cents to buy £1, and 117 Jamaican dollars and 97 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Roby Ann Williams. Good evening.
Experience the joy of buying a brand new Hyundai without breaking the bank. Yes, buying a brand new car should never leave you broke. From stylish designs and safety features to comfortable driving and reliability, Hyundai is the choice. Hyundai vehicles come standard with 2 years free service and 5 years warranty and roadside assistance for your peace of mind. Drive 2 years without service cost and 5 years without fear of being stranded. Hyundai. Conditions apply.
Taste it, eat it, drink it, applaud it. The 26th staging of the Jamaica Observer Tabletop Food Awards, the Caribbean's premier culinary event, powered by MasterCard, takes place Thursday, June 26th on the East Lawns of King's House. Get your tickets at Starbucks at AC Marriott, Starbucks Ligony, Starbucks Waterloo, Signature Boutique, Unit 9, Legal Business Centre, 31 Upper Waterloo Road, Uncorked 2, Constant Spring Road, Uncorked Barbican, Sovereign North, Uncorked Ochi, Draxhall, Uncorked West, Fairview Shopping Centre, Resort Wear by Ereline, Shop 4 Progressive Shopping Centre, Kingston, Cafe Dolce, 114 Constant Spring Road, Kingston, Fromage Bistro, 8 Hillcrest Avenue, Kingston, and of course the offices of the Jamaica Observer in Kingston and Montego Bay. Adults 18 years and over. Drink responsibly.
We can light up your world with the rays of the sun, putting pure energy in the palm of your hand.
For over 20 years, Fosrich has been putting a world of energy in your hands. Now we bring you big savings with our line of solar energy products and LED lighting. Financing now available for all your home and commercial retrofit projects. Consult with our in-house staff or certified professional engineers for all your electrical needs. Fosrich Lifestyle. It's electric. Fosrich, your energy world.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jack on my figure, dig the wall.
Our Total Tools.
Weed back a figure, trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand.
Total Tools.
We rent them, sell them, and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, or Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slibe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Draxall, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Delicious meals, poolside cocktails, right on the beach. Disconnect from your daily worries and reconnect with the one you love. There's no paradise like home. This summer, enjoy a romantic all-inclusive escape at Couples Tower Isle, Couples Sans Souci, Couples Negril, or Couples Swept Away from $295 USD per night. Take advantage of this offer today by visiting Couples Resorts at couples.com. Conditions apply.
And now, for a special message on the JCF Transformations Expo 2.0 by Deputy Commissioner Karina Powell-Hood.
We've been planning for months, and now we're ready to share more of the essence of who we are. At the JCF Transformations People, Quality and Technology Expo 2.0, coming June 19 to 22nd at the National Arena in Kingston and at the Montego Bay Community College. Come, see, experience what you've been hearing about your transforming industries.
Good evening, rather, listeners and viewers. It is 6:42, and it is now time for the nation's business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And I'm Tyrone Reid.
Well, stiffer penalties are on the horizon for those who engage in predial larceny. Agriculture Minister Floyd Green brought the predial larceny amendment bill through all its stages in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. The bill passed in the lower house with no amendments.
The minister says several administrations have promised changes to ease the challenge theft poses for farmers. It's an absolutely significant problem for farmers. However, he says it's the Andrew Holness-led government which has made this a reality.
Minister Green says the additional penalties will join those already increased by the government through the Agricultural Produce Amendment Act. And he joins us now to discuss further. Good evening, Minister Green.
Good evening, Mr. Green.
Even Tyrone, even to all your listeners and viewers.
Good evening. Good to hear from you, Minister. So just give us an outline. What are some of these new penalties that are coming into effect and where are they coming from?
All right. So what we did yesterday is made some amendments to the Predial Larceny Prevention Act and other acts that touch and concern Predial Larceny. So now the Predial Larceny Prevention Act, for the most part, speaks about our agricultural warden. Outlines a scheme of appointing wardens on a number of offences in and around wardens. So the agricultural wardens were envisioned from 1983 to be police focused on agricultural crime. We have never really built it out. We started a pilot back in the 80s, but now we are building it out. So we started recruitment last year in a view to put more boots on the ground, especially in areas where we already have significant reports of Predial larceny. So we want to roll out 100 wardens this year, and we already have shortlisted about 243 people who will start training sometime later this year. But what we want to ensure is that when they're out, that the penalties that they are treated with and the acts that they can address are all covered. So one of the amendments was to ensure that acts that were not around, that they know can treat with them, and acts that they Predial Larceny Act especially speaks to that, like our Agricultural Produce Act. Additionally, offences like searching and refusing a search by agricultural warden, and that penalty was like a maximum of $40,000, is now moved to $1 million. Things like taking a warden's uniform or impersonating a warden, that penalty was like $20,000. That penalty has gone to $5 million. So what we're doing is strengthening the framework to act around agricultural crime. Additionally, there are some acts like the Trespass Act, which sometimes the police have to use for example, people who are found trespassing on somebody's farm at night would carry a penalty of about, I think, $40,000 was the maximum that it would be. Now we've moved that up to $3 million. Again, as a way to deter people from, even if you sometimes you don't catch them in the act of stealing, but why would you have right to be on somebody's farm at that hour of the night? So in essence, what we're doing is strengthening the penalties and framework around to fight Predial larceny.
And Minister, those are the monetary penalties, but what about jail time? Where are we looking at in terms of when those individuals simply say, well, I can't pay the fine, how much time would they end up serving?
So again, what you found with a lot of these, the fines were 20 to 40,000, and there was no jail time that passed 6 months. We have moved those fines from 20 to 540 to 1 million, and the jail times have gone up to 1 year minimum to 3 years maximum. And this is in keeping with what we did also with the Agricultural Produce Act. So when we made those amendments, the Agricultural Produce Act deals with things like transporting agricultural produce without the requisite permits. Oftentimes when you are apprehending somebody, Predial larceny, you apprehend them in the act, not necessarily on transporting the item, not necessarily in the act. And as such, we strengthened those fines. So we moved those from what was 250,000 to 3 million, and what was 6 months in prison maximum to 3 years maximum. So in keeping with that, these have been moved to one year minimum for the ones that were below 6 months, and 3 years for the ones that were at 6 months.
If I could walk it back, Minister, to the wardens you mentioned. Just wanted to be clear on a couple of things concerning the wardens. You say you want to initially roll out about 100 of them?
Yes, we want to roll out 100 this year, but the plan is to roll out 300 over the next 3 years. And so it's the fight against Predial larceny, clearly, we have to take a comprehensive approach. And that's what we've been doing as an administration. So one, the legislative framework, amending these penalties so that when people are caught, they can have stiffer fines or they can have longer jail times. You know, with things like predatory license, some of those things have gone up now to 7 years in prison for just the raw act of predatory license in relation to things like small ruminants. So we have done that part of it. Other thing that we have to do is to put more boots on the ground, and that's where the wardens come in. And the plan is roll out 100 each year for the next 3 years. But the police have been working with us, and we have been advocated for a few years now. We started by saying to the police, let's have some distinct units that in police stations where we have these problems that our farmers could go and report, and they started there. But where we are now, last Friday, the JCF would have launched for the first time an agricultural protection branch. Now, in the JCF, a branch is a combination of units and has its own formation that is led by Assistant Commissioner of Police.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which is where I wanted you to go, Minister Green. You're saying these wardens will in fact be members of the JCF?
Yes, they will be members of the JCF. The Act speaks to it. They will go through clearly specialized training to ensure that they are very versed with our agricultural acts that touch and concern agricultural crime, including the Agricultural Produce Act, Predatory License Prevention Act, Trespass Act, the regulations around animals and animal health. So they will have that layer added onto what would have been the regular training that they would have gotten from the JCF. So they will be police. They will now fall under the newly established agricultural protection branch and will work with other officers. So in that branch...
but their attention will be fully focused on policing the agricultural sector. Yes. You won't see them, for example, over P-Step.
No, you won't see them over P-Step. They'll have a separate uniform and they'll be fully focused on agricultural crime. So under the agricultural protection branch, you will have the predatory larceny unit, you'll have the agricultural wardens unit, and you will also have a drones unit, which will provide a layer of surveillance that the police will use in trying to prevent agricultural crime. So these are police officers who are solely tasked with treating with agricultural crime.
And you say you're starting out with 100, but clearly that is just the initial starting point. What is the estimation in terms of what will be needed in terms of boots on the ground to satisfy the need to properly protect the agricultural sector?
So we have said 300 over the next 3 years, 100 per year, and we said we're going to deploy them to the areas where we're having the biggest challenges. Clearly what the police themselves, the JCF, is also doing now is bolstering that with this agricultural protection division by having other police officers that will be put in this division to strengthen what the wardens are also doing. So, for example, they would have already transferred about 48 police officers from across the length and breadth of Jamaica into the agricultural protection division. So they will add to what the wardens will be doing. So ultimately, we're going to start with 300 based on all the things. Clearly, we've been looking at the numbers I've been saying to farmers. I know some farmers over the years have gotten frustrated, but I've been saying to them, report, because if we're going to follow the data, and if we look at the data, we don't see a lot of instances of predatory loss, there are a lot of reports, and we might not deploy the wardens there where they might be needed. So it's very important. But just to say, Siobhan and Tyrone, this is a focus for a couple of years, and we are seeing some good returns. In fact, between 2023 and 2024, we did see good increases in some of the key indicators. So, for example, in 2023, the JCF would have arrested 79 people for predatory larceny. Last year, it was 130, I think 132, 31 that they arrested. Cars that they seized in 2023 seized 8 cars in the act of predatory larceny. Last year, 28 cars were seized, so we are seeing steps in the right direction. And there's one more area that is new that we have brought into the predatory larceny prevention act that I should mention because it's the first it is happening. Our farmers will now be able to, once the act comes into effect and the appointed date is set, will be able to, as a part of sentencing of somebody who's been convicted of a predial larceny related crime, agricultural and theft crime, they will be able to give a victim impact statement for the judge to use that and to have that as a part of their contemplation in sentencing. And again, this is something that the farmers have been saying for a long time, that they want an opportunity to express to the judge and explain to the judge the sort of impact, the sort of cost, the sort of pain and suffering that they've gone through, so that when the judge is imposing the sentence, that is something that's taken into account, and that is specifically provided for.
That's interesting, Minister. Sorry, could you complete? I thought it's specifically provided for where this victim impact statement that the farmers are able to give?
In the amendment, so in the new amendment that we passed in the House yesterday, it brings in a victim impact statement, and it says that upon conviction of a predial larceny-related offence, that as a direct quote, that the judge may ask for a victim impact statement to be given by the complainant, and that will be taken into consideration in sentencing. And again, it's something that when I went around and listened to the farmers, a lot of them, if you know the court process, they complain, and sometimes you just there and you don't necessarily get to share, especially the sort of damage that has been done, especially if the person pleads guilty. That has been brought into the law.
That's quite significant, Minister, I must say. Did we model that from another jurisdiction, or it's just it organically came out of the conversations you had?
I'll answer two things. For a little while, the broader criminal justice reform has been looking at victim impact statements and has been moving towards incorporating victim impact statements. And I do believe that there will be a time when that will be a part of our general laws. Clearly, we kind of accelerated the pace of that because, again, for our own specific reality, it is something that the farmers have been saying. There are jurisdictions that have utilized that, and we are looking to do some modeling. So there is an effective date that will be outlined, and clearly we will provide a form in terms of, what victim impact statement will look like, what are the main elements. But I think it is significant that for the first time, as a part of one of our laws, we specifically reference that and call for it to be utilized in the
and in relation to predial larceny as well, because we know the impact it has on farmers, and to give them a voice like this, I think is quite significant, Minister. It's perhaps the best thing I've heard about the bill so far. But let me ask you, in terms of working hours for these wardens, that's one, and in terms of the data that we have available in terms of where we're going to place the first 100. Do we have any sort of mapping data available that we know these are the hotspots that we're going to try to target almost immediately?
We definitely have mapping data. We definitely know the divisions that have traditionally had a lot of reports, and it's something that we have been mapping, and the JSF has been doing a wonderful job of collating that data. So we already had the rollouts of predial larceny units in places like Trelawney, St. Elizabeth, parts of St. Catherine, in those specific police divisions. And I think some of those areas will be among the first to get the wardens. I wouldn't be able to speak to the working hours as yet. Those matters I know the JCF will address. Once they're trained, clearly they become a part and parcel of the JCF apparatus, and we did get some resources in the budget this year specifically for this program. So it's just about now, I think, having done the preliminary recruitment, having people gone through the tests. I know the JCF was working out in terms of training location, especially a training location that could pull together what they do and the agricultural component of the training, and clearly we're going to help in that regard. So I do expect that in a month or so, we should be able to start that training and then get these ones out. And I'm very sure before deployment, some of the specifications in relation to working hours and their terms of service, clearly that will be made public.
So we...
Go ahead, Tyrone.
Sorry, go ahead, Shaman. Oh, I was saying, so Minister, the bill now goes to the upper house, and how soon can farmers and those who live from that kind of activity, which we know a lot of Jamaicans families depend on it. How soon will they be able to see this act being implemented, the boots on the ground? Do you have a timeline in mind?
So again, the bill goes to the upper house. We do hope and expect that it will pass fairly smoothly. I think it's something that we have broad-based support across both sides for. And then, as I have said, what we're doing is building out an ecosystem. I think we all know there's no silver bullet. We won't just automatically stop having a challenge with Pray Their Last Name. But as we build out the structures, we will definitely see some of the figures that have been showing in terms of increased arrests. In fact, I think it was today's paper that there was a report of the Agricultural Protection Branch actually making an apprehension in Trelawney of some gentlemen in a motor vehicle with a small ruminant that they were trying to steal. So I think we'll see more of those stories cropping up. The idea is to start the deployment of the agricultural models this year, towards the end of this year. And once we start our training in a month or so, we will stick to that time frame. And then once they get on the ground and are deployed, I do expect that we will see one uptick in things like arrests and apprehensions, and hopefully also prevention, and that is very, very important. So I also expect that with the Agricultural Protection Branch coming on stream and with the build out of the drones unit, that we'll be able to do more surveillance, that our farmers will start seeing reprieve sooner than later, and nothing that's all we want. We do have to do some work, as I spoke to Senior Superintendent Pasco, who is the commanding officer in charge of the Agricultural Protection Branch, in relation to our market spaces and ensuring that where people are treating in the sale of agricultural produce, whether that be crops or whether that be meat kind, that they can verify where that has come from. I know some work has started across all the parishes like Manchester. I know they've been very strong on that. I think when we have that sort of ecosystem, especially with traceability, so on the Ministry of Agriculture side, we have done some work around our national identification system for cattle. We are now looking at a formula or something that can be used for small ruminants, because clearly traceability is important to be able to have a robust system of prevention of Pray Their Last Name.
It sounds like there's a lot to look forward for our farmers in the sector, ministers, particularly today and our poultry farmers.
Yeah, well, our poultry farmers had a great day. Our poultry farmers had a great day today, without a doubt. You know, one of the big successes has been our poultry sector. Over the last 10 years, we've seen a 35% increase in our poultry production. And last year, we actually hit our highest ever production numbers for poultry, and this is broiler production. And that's despite Hurricane Beryl. Right, so we have been seeing a significant uptick, not just from our major companies, our two major companies, but also from our small backyard farmers for poultry. So I know today has been a massive day for poultry. Thus far, it appears that the stocks have held, and that's good news.
Not to bring down the news, Minister, but have you heard some concerns surrounding Jamaica? No, not Jamaica broilers. Is it Jamaica broilers? That one of our major chicken manufacturers is having a bit of bother recently in terms of management and other concerns.
Well, you know what we tend to focus on from the Ministry of Agriculture side is production, efficiency, ensuring that there's no disease. And on that front, I can tell you that our chicken companies here are extremely strong. As I told you, we've seen growth locally across both companies, and that's good news for us. We are self-sufficient in whole chicken. Outside of a weather event like Beryl, we are self-sufficient in eggs. And where we want to go now is to the next level. And we have seen both our companies focusing a lot more on value added. So you have seen new products come on the market like breaded chicken and wings, and that's what we want. We want to see that diversification, and then we want to take the Caribbean market, and we're very bullish about it. We do believe that in order for the region to meet its target by reducing extra-regional imports by 25%, now by 2030, that Jamaica can play a huge role in that, and poultry is one of the areas. So, despite some of the challenges that may be spoken of, what we are seeing locally is very strong growth, and clearly want to continue to see that.
Understood.
Minister, before we let the minister go, Siobhan, you did mention a drone unit. You said something of that sort.
Yes. So
could you expound on that a little first?
Yes, the Agricultural Protection Branch and the JCF formation. Each branch is made up of multiple units. So they will have the Prairie Larceny units, which we already have. Some Prairie Larceny units that are operated across some police stations. They'll have the Agricultural Wardens unit, which will treat with the operations of the wardens on the ground, and then they will have a drones unit, and that drones unit will focus on surveillance in relation to agricultural crime. So clearly what we have seen is that agricultural crime has evolved, and the police have recognized that. It used to be maybe one man trying to thief a one goat, and it happened a certain time of the year. Now it's much more organized. Now we see gangs using that and trading in meat for things like guns. So I think part of what we're seeing is the elevation in the JCF, and I want to thank Commissioner around that, the elevation in the JCF for the fight against agricultural crime. So part of what we need is more surveillance, and having a drones unit that will be able to monitor farms clearly at night, especially, will provide a significant layer of protection. So the JCF is building that out. I probably allow them to speak more on it. I know they have their big transformations, JCF Transformations Expo starting tomorrow. And I think engage them about it, because we want them to speak more about agricultural protection. But I must say, we have been getting really good support from Commissioner Blake and the team, Deputy Commissioner Clark, Senior Superintendent Pasco, and we're very, very happy for it.
That is Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, Floyd Green. Thank you so much for joining us, Minister.
Thank you, Minister.
So, Tyrone, I find it interesting, though. This is the second minister who has placed so much emphasis on the role of the police in terms of the impact it has on their portfolio. You had the tourism minister saying just a similar thing just yesterday as part of his sectoral presentation. So I see all these kudos going out to the JCF and the improvements in terms of the fall in crime and the overall increased professionalism of the JCF, and it should be commended both on the side of the JCF and how much the government has invested and led the charge in terms of bringing the policy and infrastructure of the police up to standard. It really should be commended.
What is also noteworthy is that the JCF is not being asked to create a unit from some sinew that it already is using, right? They are putting additional boots on the ground, specifically trained to deal with this. I saw someone in the chat who is saying, I think this is Christopher Bowen, saying there was the trail bike which used to check the farm, but was put in traffic with the merge of the ISCF and JCF. I gather there will be some kind of resurrection of a specific unit or rejuvenation of a specific unit within the JCF. Christopher Bowen is what I was hearing from the minister to deal with this, and they're going to be getting 100 officers, police personnel, this to start with this year, he said, yes, and then they'll be rolling out over the next 3 years. Yes, 300 per year. Said, so over the next 3 years, right? So we'll continue to watch this though, because Prairie Larceny, Siobhan, is a big ticket item for farmers. A big ticket item for farmers. And if it's a big ticket item for farmers, it's a big ticket item for Jamaica. Because you would know, as a man who watched the numbers, Siobhan, the macroeconomic numbers. Agriculture is tied to the hip of economic growth.
Precisely. Whenever agriculture does poorly, the country doesn't grow.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that.
It's tied to the hip of economic growth. So we definitely need to deal with this scourge of predial larceny. We'll continue to watch this one.
Well, listeners, the Watchman is next, and then we take your calls afterwards. To the numbers, remember, 630-9371-4 and 618-8255.
The Watchman, exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional, Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. With our job descriptions for members of Parliament. In a few weeks or months, Jamaicans will again go to the polls to elect representatives to do a job on their behalf. A role the majority of those elected have not the slightest notion about. Writing in the Thursday, November 12, 2020 edition of the Daily Observer under the title, "What is the true role of elected representatives?" Natalie Campbell Rodriguez highlighted the gap between what elected officials are paid to do and what they actually do. I quote her, "Members of Parliament, MPs, should spend time being cerebral individuals working at a certain level to make Jamaica into the nation we know she can be. Instead, we find that our elected representatives have had to become social workers, funeral attendees, gang mediators, the one who buries the dead in many communities, attend parties and round robins. In a nutshell, most of our elected politicians spend more time distributing scarce resources and pandering to a population that do not really understand the role of a councillor or MP." End of quote by Observer newspaper writer Natalie Campbell Rodriguez. Public outcry for this situation to be redressed intensified in the aftermath of lawmakers approving for themselves a 200% salary increase effective April 2022. On Tuesday, June 20, 2023, Prime Minister Andrew Holness acquiesced, keeping a promise he made on the campaign trail in 2016. He tabled Green Paper 3, comprehensively setting out key performance areas, standards of performance, and deliverables for the job of members of Parliament. Fast forward to June 3, 2025. The House of Representatives approved the job description and code of conduct for parliamentarians on a resolution moved by Member of Parliament for St. Catherine North Eastern, Carencia Morrison. The Gleaner, in a June 9, 2025 editorial titled "Parliamentary Committees Lazy Work Threw Cold Water on the Process." I quote from the editorial in part. "The parliamentary committee that was tasked to review the government's job description proposals for members of Parliament, MPs, squandered an opportunity to do something really significant. They rubber-stamped the recommendations, and when they reported on their work last week, the most their colleagues in the House could do was squabble over the value of attending sittings of the legislature. End of quote from Gleaner, June 9, 2025 editorial. To be fair, writing a job description for MPs that makes everyone happy is not the easiest of tasks. MP for Clarendon Northeastern Pernell Charles Jr. is quoted in newspaper reports saying, "This job is not one that fits into any square or any circle, so it is a difficult task for the Prime Minister, for the government to set down on paper." End quote. Consistent with this view, the 2012 Global Parliamentary Report contends that, and I quote, "Being an elected official remains one of the few professions for which there is no job description, and there are few guides as to whom, how, or what a politician should represent." End quote. Notwithstanding, there is a worldwide push towards ensuring greater certitude surrounding what such vital and important roles entail. In the United States, the Congressional Management Foundation, CMF, decided to remedy the situation by developing job descriptions for members of Congress and the Senate. In addition to responsibilities enumerated by the Constitution, several general responsibilities and duties are grouped into 7 functions, namely 1. Representation, 2. Legislation, 3. Oversight, 4. Management, 5. Politics, 6. Collaboration, 7. Leadership. The problem and challenge for Jamaica is that among those who govern and the governed, the cultural norm and expectation, which carries over into the written job description, is for the greater weight to be placed on dispensing spoils and scarce benefits. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
The name you trust to be your friend, to be a partner by your side. For generations we have been the one you trust as your financial guide. Sagicor, building trust for generations, helping hopes and dreams to grow, building our nation. Sagicor's the name you know. Sagicor.
Sagicor, celebrating 55 years.
Building trust for generations.
And now, a special message from our Commissioner of Police, Dr. Kevin Blake.
In 2023, many of you told us how pleasantly surprised you were with our first Transformations Expo. Be prepared to be amazed at Transformations Expo 2.0, People, Quality and Technology, coming from 2 locations at the National Arena in Kingston and simultaneously at the Montego Bay Community College from Thursday, June 19 to Sunday, June 22. Bring your friends, bring your family. I'm looking forward to meeting you.
The gateway for Jamaica's athletes to several international competitions, including the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan, opens from Thursday, June 26 to Sunday, June 29 for the J3A Junior and Senior National Championships at the National Stadium, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. each day. The biggest names in local track and field, with the men's section including the likes of Olympic silver medalist Shane Thompson, Oblique Seville, Akeem Blake, Antonio Watson, Christopher Taylor, Olympic champion Roger Stoner, Rajendra Campbell, Wayne Pinna, and Romain Beckford. The female division will be no less fascinating, with 2-time reigning world champion Sharika Jackson, Shelly Ann Fraser Price, the Clayton Twins, Tia and Tina, Alana Reed, Akira Nugent, Rochelle Clayton, and Shanika Ricketts. The action will be sizzling.
Taboo topics. Bulletins after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss.
Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Boyatings After Dark.
The Ministry of Justice is hosting the Hanover leg of the Legal Aid Council's Justice Fair for Persons with Disabilities on Thursday, June 19, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Lucy Bus Park. Persons with disabilities can come out to access justice services such as legal aid, child diversion, victim support, expungement of criminal records, restorative justice, wills and estate management, and many more. The RGD will be there along with many other government services. That's the Legal Aid Council's Justice Fair for Persons with Disabilities, Thursday, June 19, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Lucy Bus Park. The Ministry of Justice, taking justice to the people of Jamaica.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. 7:18. We're in the final hour and we're taking your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. Bobby, I hear you're on the line. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mass Bobby.
Good evening, my good friend Siobhan.
Evening, sir.
Anglia Bangle, Mass Bobby.
Yes, man, Anglia Bangle, man. Look here. I buy the couple bucks I'm out already, you know.
Just keep them on ice, my Jenna.
Eh?
Just keep them on some ice, man.
I will, because look here, I am also going to invite Siobhan to, you know.
I'm gonna tell you, Bobby, I don't drink heavy, I don't drink at all.
Hey, no, it's malt and Chevron. It's not libation. It's malt. We're not giving to libation.
It's malt, man. Right, you see, and trust me, man, Tyrone no said is this year, but I go drink it and the final count. And
Bobby, you're not drawing me into that, I tell you already.
So Siobhan, don't bother turn off your phone that night, you know.
Why would I do that, Bobby? You think I could turn off my phone at election night? You're crazy? You want to fire me?
Man, don't bother turn off your phone because all three of us we have to be the box of Malta that night, man. Yes, two quick things I would like to talk about. First, you say I should really commend the Honorable Floyd Green. He since he become agriculture minister, I see where the agriculture sector has been moving. And he, apart from Dr. Christopher Tufton, is the only agriculture minister that I see who have worked hard and, and they give the sector all the resources that the workers need. And what I've seen is that the sector has been booming. Since recently, I saw he hand over about seven irrigation traveler to the agriculture sector so that the dairy farmers can irrigate more than one pasture at the same time so the cows can go in and have fresh grass to eat and produce more milk and so on. I must tell you, the Honorable Floyd Green, I tell you, sir, you are doing an excellent job. And, and keep it up. And, the other matter that I would like to talk about is that, is that I don't think the Honorable Prime Minister and the Jamaica Labour Party should really campaign, because the work over the 9 years that this administration has been doing speaks for itself. They give back people their taxes, and they have 9 years of no new taxes. so poor people can have more money in their pocket. And everywhere in Jamaica I go, I see infrastructure work going on, not only on roads, but but other infrastructure and so on has been going up. So to me, I think this Andrew Holness administration is doing an excellent job. And and finally, I should also say that my MP over here and my councillor, Mr. Jacob Kukan and Mrs. And the Honorable Habsy Grange, both they are doing a good job. Since this evening, I was coming a certain section in our constituency, and I see work has been going on a piece of road that, trust me, when that piece of road finish, those people around Prince Avenue, they will have a smooth highway to walk on. So I must say, this administration want to show the people of Jamaica that this year, when the Prime Minister say, get set, go, ready for us all to give him a third term in office. Okay, then, thank you.
All right, Bobby. Good luck. All right,
man. Take care, Bobby.
Good evening, guys.
Evening, Alec.
Great, Sir Alec. Bless you, man.
You're on the evening program, my friend, Anglia Bangle.
Anglia Bangle, man. The whole stomping ground,
I've spoken to you for a while because nobody can get you on Fridays again, man. You become the people's choice to call.
I don't know about all of that.
Well, I am telling you that. Siobhan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm glad you have Tyrone because where I want to go is with education. Like maybe last week or a couple of days before, there was this distressing news about the percentage of the students who were in high school who could not read. And it
at a particular high school.
Yeah, it bothers me because you can't have that happening in the country. And I heard the Minister of Education came out and some other people said that they're going to try their best to address it. But what got to me in the last 2 days is that the floor is now open for nomination for the next president of the JTA. And some interviews were done on your program with the three aspirants. And nobody tackled that with any real gusto to tell you what they are going to do to try and eliminate that. One candidate talk about how many teachers have masters and not getting enough pay, and that's what is going to be his main thing. Another candidate said something that I won't even talk about. And then the third candidate is the former JTA president who took the JTA to court.
They're still in court, aren't they?
They are still in court. Still in court.
And now she's come back wanting to be president. So wouldn't that be something that is she won again? So who's going to answer that time to the court case that she has taken in front?
Bobby, it is a bit of a joke if you ask me. I don't know how else to put it, in regards to your first question about the matter, remember, this is essentially an internal political race. And unfortunately, I don't think it sells well to the teachers and the base of the JTA to talk about anything other than their salaries. And I beg somebody to correct me. I wish someone would correct me and say that is not true, Siobhan. But the only thing that seems to interest that organization in my mind is how much the teachers get paid. It's them going to get.
Siobhan, I want to get Tyrone's take on this because I'm glad he was the one in this night. Because I'm upset with them.
Look here, if first of all, that JTA president you're referencing, previous JTA president, I think Lasonia Harrison is her name, or is it Harris or Harrison?
Harrison, Lasonia Harrison.
She basically didn't sign off on the on the
yes, she walked out of the room. I remember
right.
She walked out of the room and let Mr.
And it's the president-elect who had to sign,
yes.
right, Siobhan?
Yes.
Now, if the teachers of this country are prepared to re-elect someone who can be reasonably accused of abdicating on their responsibility that the majority of the members voted in favor of, because she was very strong when they voted no, and then when the vote was yes, she couldn't bring herself to sign the document. And I gather the court action has something to do with that particular issue.
She wants to render null and void.
But you know, if they vote her back in, it says a lot, I think, about the country's teachers, and I think the teachers, the majority of them, are way more discerning than that. There should also, I think, if there isn't some clause somewhere in the bylaws of the JTA that must prevent someone who has taken the JTA to court from standing for president. I mean, it just does not seem proper at all. Something is wrong with it, Siobhan.
It's a joke.
How do you?
I don't know why you're trying to dance around it, Tyrone. It's a joke.
I'm trying to be reasonable, but when I heard her name, I was absolutely taken aback when I heard her name in the debate, recently held debate. I could not believe that. And Siobhan, have you seen, and Alric, you've been around the news for a while, have you ever seen a JTA president running for office so soon again?
No, and
not at all.
You know, guys, Siobhan and Tyrone, what got to me and was very interesting. Last night, Siobhan and Ricardo was trying to pin down the president that is going out on the 31st of August, the Monroe College principal, and he was dancing around the bush very diplomatically because Siobhan and Ricardo tried to pin him down. This lady has the audacity to try and come back within a year, 2 years, and run again after she did what she did. After the
she should be rejected by those who choose the president.
She shouldn't even think about coming back.
No, but I stand with you, Tyrone. She shouldn't even be capable of running. I'm surprised that the JTA has such lax bylaws that it would allow a situation where someone who is in an active, let's say you sued them in the past, fine, I would have allowed that to go, but an active lawsuit against the organization is
and then
able
you're
to
running to
seek
be the
office.
president. That is right. De facto, the person representing the JT, and I gather with perhaps I think they have a general secretary. I think also that's one of the top positions there. But how do you? Why? What is the raison d'etre behind her wanting to be president again so soon when she has an active lawsuit against the association? How does that make sense?
Suppose she becomes president. So the lawsuit will be against her as president. No, what
assumes
exactly?
What assumes if she wins to become the future president? Because I believe a president is coming in, and then it will be her turn afterward. But one assumes that she would drop the lawsuit, or the lawsuit would have been essentially over by the time she takes office. One assumes.
Well, that is the wrong way.
That's a fair observation there, and astute observation from you that she doesn't come in right away. She's going to. This is the race for president-elect. The new president will soon take over. But we know how these court matters are, Siobhan, and it can be drawn out for some time, right? Unless she's going to abandon the pursuit of those legal measures. The teachers of this country need to remember that when the majority gave an instruction to the president, because the president serves at the pleasure of the majority of the people who voted him or her into office.
Absolutely.
How do you not carry out the will of the majority of the members in a position that is democratically elected, where it's the majority that placed you there?
And I'm
not getting that. I'm not understanding
that. I should remind you,
Mr. Johnson to sign.
And I should remind you the basis of the lawsuit and what that means for the government and the wage negotiations that have already taken place if that lawsuit is successful. Because if that lawsuit is successful, she would render the wage negotiation deal null and void. And do you believe that it would be just the JTA who would raise a stink about that wage negotiation being rendered null and void? You would put the entire public sector in a tailspin.
Guys, I'm running.
Oh, but what is the basis of her complaint, Siobhan? Have you read the details of it? She's saying what went wrong with the vote. What is she saying went wrong?
No, she says the wage offer was unconstitutional.
Wage offer was dear.
Because it was done because it was not done in person. It was done through I don't know if it was Zoom, but it was done in a virtual setting. So she believes that the agreement for the wage deal was unconstitutional.
Well, all the teachers accepted the pay. All the teachers accepted the pay increase. So my case, guys.
You can't see yourself as being more important than the office, you know. And that perhaps is part of what we're staring down the barrel of. And I don't want to accuse her wrongfully, but if the majority of your members voted in favor, to what end are you taking this course of action? It is perplexing, really.
Well, let's leave it up to the teachers to see if they will know who to vote for, as Mr. Smith said yesterday. Now, rest my case, guys. Have a good afternoon.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, Tyrone. All right, Siobhan.
All right. Chris, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chris.
That was well ventilated. Like your cutting call. Well ventilated point there by the caller. Well, I was in the chat with you while you were interviewing the minister. And, you know, I'm sorry that you were not reading some, so you could have.
No, I read you're that person. I read it, and I saw your point about Mr. Bunting essentially putting an end to something that was similar to the agricultural wardens which exist today. I saw that. I think Tyrone had put that question to the minister.
Yeah, I'd read. No, I didn't get to put it to him, but I saw it. I saw the comments, but we didn't get a chance to put the question to him. I did mention one of the comments made by Crystal.
Because the truth is, you know, I used to be the leader of one of those teams. We had a unit out in Area 2. We call it TECU, Predial Enforcement Control Unit. And you see what happening in the sand mine and all of those, it was a part of the unit. You know, you have what is known as division of labor in any society. And the ISCF used to take on some softer kind of policing, but it was important, you know, and those went through the windows when the merger came. So much so that a lot of the younger persons who have options, some had visa, they'd run away and leave us older ones, so we had to stick with it. There was expertise in the area there. I remember going up to Top Trelawney one morning and I saw a farmer who told me the same man that worked with him, see him yam, and he had the yammed, and I go where he showed me the man by the yam and he told me where he buy it from. And in half an hour the case was tried up at Ulster Spring and the man was convicted for those kind of things. You know, there's expertise out there. It's not that I'm looking back at work, but the truth is they need to look at some of those persons. Yes, I know the drone came on a little later because we have evolved over time. But there are some expertise out there that we used to be using and they have to get back there. The sand mine was one of them too. Round in Lakespen that they used to buy gun and all of these things when they dig out round Lakespen and off at the river wash away. You know? So I want them to look at it at a broader level, re-employ some of the persons who used to be there who are interested in those matters. Because as far as I recall, 1980, there was a set of agricultural warden. I remember once I went down to St. Anne's Bay and wanted to join, and the man said, "Look here, I don't want to come here, you know, come up on station, step and sit down, so no police coming. is in the farm, you must go and talk to the farmers, know what is happening. And over time, things change. Things change so much so that manatees, donkey manatees, yam manatees, goat, cow in droves. As a matter of fact, we went into Clarendon, and some people never know that no butchering should not be happening on a Sunday morning, where we had to stop all of those things. So there's experts out there, and they need some consultants and all of that. Putting that one to you.
All right, thank you for that, Chris. I really appreciate
but based
it.
on what before you run, Chris, based on what you've heard from the minister here, you think the suggestion is a good one? 300 crops on the ground over 3 years. What do you make of what he has said, and that victim impact statement from the farmers as well?
I must commend him for bringing that back to light, because some persons don't know how difficult it is to farm. You can't get a man to jam a yam stick for you or do anything, but they will thief you or thief the money you have. So it's a good plan here, but somewhat, in some way, some of the wheels are being reinvented, and we have done some things that in the past that can come, and with a little modification will make better. Will make it better for our farmers out there. The trail bikes used to be up in the hill. If you talk to Senator Grant, he ball every day to other commissioners, put back the trail bike out there. The trail bike could go in the field. Sometimes the van and the SUV can't go down in some of the fields, down in some place in Ulster Spring, but the trail bike would be down there. And so yes, the drone is a big help when it comes around. I've seen it work. I know that will work, but don't completely reinvent the wheel. You just have some of the things that you had before and stick with the good points. That's what I suggest to you. And I must.
Thank you, Sir Chris. I appreciate it. Who do we have next, Siobhan?
Faithful, good evening.
Good evening, Siobhan.
Good evening, Faithful.
Good evening, Mr. Tyrone. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I never can't quite start it. I would advise Bobby. Did that thing in politics you call him overconfident and the element of surprise. Never go to chicken vote with ash. When you deal with people vote anywhere they want to vote, and many different reasons why they vote. So this overconfident that sure they're going to win and they must win and all these things outcast, and then if they would take my advice. I heard Mr. Mackenzie was talking to Cliff yesterday, and was expressing the same confidence that they're going to win. I remember in the local government election when Feder Williams was the mayor for Kingston, and he was so confident. He's not mayor today. And that being said, with Latanya, I think if you have a constitution, my choice is not for she to run. But if you have a constitution and you permit her to run, and she feel that the job that she have done did not accomplish the way she wanted to accomplish it, because she feels that she wanted demand more for teacher, she did not accomplish the way, and her constitution allow her to do so. Who am I to say no? Let the people decide who they want. And
ultimately, it's up to the people to decide, though, Faithful. Right. Ultimately. But would you vote for a president that refused to sign off on a matter that the majority of people voted for? Would you vote for that person?
No, I would not. But,
again?
But my contention is
exactly.
This. No, but my contention is we can't say we believe in democracy when it suits us, and we believe in the rule of law when it suits us, and when those suit us, we have a problem with it.
We're not criticizing the fact that they're going to democratically elect who they're criticizing. We're criticizing the nonsensical situation that they found themselves in, Faithful.
And
that's the difference.
A conflict. She has created a conflict by suing the JTA, and now she's running to head the body again. That's a clear conflict.
I agree with all of those, But the fact that she's running and the JTA, they don't have a problem with it. That means she legally and constitutionally allowed to run.
Nobody's questioning that, Faithful.
Well, anyway, what I will call about, I am a bit troubled with what is taking place in the world with Israel striking Iran and America want to take place. Where is it that somebody did to cry for peace? Why if every turn is just war and war and war and war?
That was a tricky and complicated situation to hammer down, because the situation which has come to a bubbling point here over there in Iran versus Israel and the United States trying to sit there to the sidelines to decide whether they want to take a direct hand in it or not. It's just the continuation of diplomacy by other means.
And the people in Gaza are starving, and they're seeking food, and what they get, the bullet. Where is the empathy? Where is the love? Where is the God? Where is the God in all of us? Because if I check my recollection, God to me is life, and when we try to destroy, kill and destroy, is it not that we're destroying God?
When you strip away the facade of civility that we've built up over the years through liberal democracies and United Nations covenants and conventions, at the end of the day, faithful, we just go right back to what we were doing before that, trying to get our point across by the simplest means possible, which tends to be by force. That is what is playing out, a failure of our institutions and our built-up facades that have now, in the eyes of many across the world, simply been ripped away and shown to be of no value.
I think Tyrone don't know this. Tyrone don't know this. Want to know Iran, what is their greatest savior, If Tyrone and myself, I think read the same Bible. When the Babylonians take away Israel from Israel where they are and take them to Babylon, it was to say Iran who gave them safeguard and bodyguard and help to build the city, build this Iran. Now they fight against one another.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who's there to? America should be crying for peace. America say, well, come on.
Yeah, but remember, America has its own concerns in terms of Iran and its nuclear program. So they don't exactly want to sanction Netanyahu for what he did. And they don't also want to say they support it 100%. So they're trying to play fence sitting right now, but inevitably America is going to come down on us.
No, but they did come out initially and say
they support
had nothing to do. They had nothing to do with it. And,
they're trying to play two sides of the same out of the mouth, saying, "Oh yes, we didn't have anything to do with it, but we're not going to say he did anything wrong."
And no, but now they're saying they're not sure if they want to. They're not decided yet whether they're going to join Israel in the bombing of Iran. Now, let me ask you this, Siobhan. Do you believe that Israel bombed Iran without the knowledge and consent of the United States?
Obviously, the United States and its built-up intelligence would have. I think the president said that yes, they were aware that something was going to happen. I think it was announced even days before the actual strike that yes, something is about to happen.
Without the knowledge and consent is what I asked. Do you believe Israel struck Iran without the knowledge and consent of you? All right. Okay.
I will say this in leaving. I heard some person on radio or in space as saying that where is Jamaica stand, and Jamaica should take a stand. But I will remind them, we do have gun, but the gun then that we have that in the days of play when they have the cannon gun, those can't find anymore. So I would advise us stay out of it.
I don't understand that argument, because while I can understand why they suggest Jamaica take a stance in terms of what is happening in Gaza, in the matters of Tehran versus Jerusalem, or maybe Tehran versus Tel Aviv, I'm not sure how to call that one there. I don't think Jamaica would have a strongly expressed position in terms of whether we support or denounce Israel in its actions on this matter.
I think what we should do cry for peace. and try to find the best way.
As always, which is usually our position. That is usually the position of Jamaica. And they should continue to champion that. Thank you very much for the call, Faithful. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Faithful. Delroy, good evening.
Good evening, Master Delroy.
Hi, Kevin and Tyrone. Good afternoon. How are you doing, man?
Doing all right.
Give thanks, man.
Great, man. Great. I just want to find out something pertaining to the Operation Spokesman and Finance. I hear him still going about asking the minister to tell him who appointed Dennis Chang. Right? But up to this moment, I know it's over here now, that they have the international investigator that come to Jamaica, where them spend 30 million of taxpayer money to investigate the Prime Minister tax declaration. And from that time until now, I don't hear one of the PNP try to find out anything pertaining to that investigation report.
Is that the case? I'm not sure. I know there have been repeated calls for that report to be made public. I don't know if they've come from the People's National Party, but there have been calls for that report to be made public.
I can't recall it coming, but two things can be true at the same time, though, in a caller. But why can't we ask for both? Why can't they ask for the information regarding the appointment of Dennis Chang and also call for the information on the this international forensic auditor that had a look at the prime ministers? Quite frankly, with that information that should have been made public, and it is a dereliction of duty on the part of the Integrity Commission not to have published the findings from that individual that they hired and spent taxpayers' money on. It's a dereliction of duty, and so that's one thing. Now, what they've opposition spokesman on finance is attempting to do now is what they should have done in the first place, instead of attacking Dennis Chang, who is a well-thinking Jamaican who was served across administrations. Instead of attempting to sully Dennis Chang's name and to impugn motive to him and all kinds of things, they should have gone about the situation the way they're going about it now. Ask for the information, because how can you mount a protest without you having any kind of hard evidence that the process has been corrupted? What they are doing now is what they should have done at the genesis, and all of this protesting thing is just pointless. It's useless. It's uncalled for. And my thinking is that the PNP would have protested regardless. So they just chose this Dennis Chang matter to protest over.
Yes, but I sure if it was it was somebody to investigate in the PNP, you'd have heard them, and I mean that $30 million spent, you'd have heard somebody from the PNP come out and start to inquire about it long time. But now that I mean, the 30 million paid to investigate the Prime Minister, the PNP completely silent on that. They don't want to hear nothing about that. And I think 30 million is a lot of money.
No, that is something Jamaicans should make noise about, sir. They brought in a forensic auditor. What's the name of this? I don't think it's just forensic auditor, Siobhan. What's the term, the full term they utilized for this individual they brought in?
I don't know if it was an individual or a firm, but it was, I think, a forensic auditor, an international forensic auditor.
I think that is the full term. Right. Now, how do you bring someone in? Now, stop and think about it, Stop and think about it. You bring in an international forensic person to assist you with your investigation. They submit a report. You submit an inconclusive report to the parliament, and you absolutely exclude the findings from that individual. You just stop for a minute and think about it and tell me if that is not a dereliction of duty.
I mean, I agree with you, Tyrone. I'm very curious as to why that did not form part of the report. Why was that not added to the appendices of the report to say this is what was found by the forensic auditor? I just found it strange.
And they unnecessarily open themselves up to all sorts of questions when they behave in that manner. Because people are going to try to impute motive to them. I'm not going to import any political motive, but I'm saying just stop dispassionately take a step back, look at it. This individual was brought in, they told us they brought in this individual, told us how much money they paid our firm, right? And then no mention of anything to do with the findings. How can we operate like that?
And would it be and it would just to say maybe that the suggestion to send it to the FID was the opinion of the forensic auditor. Just to even put that in the report and say, well, our findings were inconclusive. Exactly. We don't have the authority to put this any further. You should send it to the FID, who may be more empowered to look into this matter more deeply. And I think that would have been a reasonable thing to put in a report to say this was what we concluded with.
I put it to you, Sharon. I'm not certain if you and the members of the team in the newsroom have done this, but you perhaps should reach out to the new chairman and ask for the report. Because clearly, they've submitted a report to Parliament on the matter.
I believe that
what has been the response of the new chairman? Do you recall?
No, I believe it was sent to the original chairman, Seymour Panton. I don't know if an additional thing was sent to the new chairman.
The new chairman should be asked for a copy of that report, because I don't think the gag clause would apply, Siobhan, would it? Because they've already tabled a report on this matter.
Oh, no, the gag clause is out of the question at this point. What I'm assuming is going to be the response is going to be a matter of anonymity or some kind of non-disclosure agreement on the part of that forensic auditor.
What? I don't know. No, Siobhan, I'm not so certain about that one. But go ahead, sir. Sorry, we're hearing you.
Well, like Seymour Panton, he already did tell us that. I mean, he's just pipe, something like that. What did he say about the pipe? He's just a conduit.
No, that was Greg Christie.
No, that was Greg Christie, right?
That was the most absurd thing I ever heard said in my life by an executive director.
Yeah, he's just a conduit. So he don't have a clue what's going on. Yes, so with Julian Robinson, he carried out some fraud statement sometime about last week. Not
fraud, sir.
Anything is not right, it's supposed to be fraud, you know.
No, sir. Fraud is a
he made an error.
A specific thing.
Yes, an egregious error, but it was an error.
Fraud is a specific thing in law, right, as well. So we have to be careful.
Okay, and I mean, he was supposed to be paid up some money upward to yesterday afternoon, and things like that. So we need to have a follow up on that. We need to know what happened, because we know that, I mean, he did come forward and say sorry, but them say the damage was already made, so he have to pay up some money or pay some lawsuit. So
that is a good point. That's a good point and worthy of follow, because even at the end of the day, it was quite clear that damage was done. And as you know, Tyrone, as a practicing journalist, when you claim an apology is not a mitigating circumstance against a defamation lawsuit, it is simply how much you have to pay at the end that mitigates against.
Exactly. Right. It might help how much you have to pay, but it won't remove the error, right? But you know, I in terms of taking a broader macro look at that, the question what detained me in relation to that matter is that Julian Robinson, if the PNP wins the next election, would be, some would say, a shoo-in for the finance minister position. And I'm not certain that was what you would expect in terms of a person being judicious from a finance minister to make a statement like that, right? You want to make sure your finance minister dots the I's and crosses the T's before making pronouncements. And it's not information that would have been hard to come by. Where is the research? You know, where is being measured in your statements when you don't have all the information? How do you just make a statement like that? And that is something that I think gave me some pause when I heard that he got it entirely wrong.
I suspect, and this is my opinion, and I don't have any evidence or anything to back it up, I'm just simply saying I suspect he was given a script to read, he read the script, and that was it.
But if he doing that, God forbid it, they don't really get in for and him be the finance minister, because if God forbid it that they should win and he get in, if he started this already, you can imagine what we're going to face.
I hear you, and it's one of those critical portfolios you have to be very careful about what you say, because it has that and that of the Prime Minister. It has a significant and material impact, not only on the country's reputation, but on the business community as they operate, because the word of a finance minister, when it is spoken, people in the business community listen. They make their plans around it.
Markets rise and fall in pronouncements as well, Siobhan Campbell. So you know that you don't just speak words, right? Right? You have to be measured, you have to be well researched, you know. It reminded me of when, I think it was another shadow spokesperson who came out and said the NWC did not know about a particular program that the government announced. And the NWC had to come out and say, look, no, we were consulted in this process. We knew about it. We gave feedback. We helped to formulate the entire policy. You know, so how do you just come to the public? And it's frightening, Siobhan, because it's happening more than once.
Yeah.
Go ahead, caller.
Unfortunately, caller, we get the wrap up. It's 7:57. I've gotten the wrap up signal, so we have to head off now. So thank you all on YouTube, all listening on the radio. Thanks to our super producer Dana Davey, our technical operator Andrew the Glenn Boogs Anderson, and our very capable news and production department led by Cara Powell. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And I'm Tyrone Reed.
Thank you for joining us.
We can light up your